Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome to the highlights from my Chaos Season defense matches. I was pretty convinced that my defense was going to get hammered regardless of what I did with it this week, so I decided to get a bit experimental while including Yune to mitigate the losses. I was very interested to see how Florina would do. While bringing her weapon fully online isn't really reliable on a defense team, her super guidance still does a lot of work for synchronizing the team's threat ranges, and can also make it a bit easier to juggle other two-range effects like Farsave. The combination of Impact and Guard also give her a reasonable chance of surviving her first combat, which can bring her weapon online and let the rest of the team follow through. Gatekeeper does a great job of limiting the shenanigans an offense team can work with, simultaneously shutting down Kanto and Warp effects, while also offering his team a nice bonus to their combat stats. Yune is using a bit of a sillier build. Honestly, looking back, Hardy Fighter might have been a better option even with the threat of Elamine, but I was curious to see how effectively she could use Savvy on defense. Corrin and Garnef are the main threats of the roster. Corrin offers some excellent wall-breaking power thanks to the combination of Lull and Sea Feud, while Garnef's sweep effect works really nicely with no follow-up. Pulse Smoke also lets him potentially disarm Hardy Fighter opponents before Corrin finishes them off. The results were a lot better than I expected. While the team did suffer a few clean losses along the way, it was really surprising to see how many wins they were able to secure. It's great to see, and it's given me some ideas to consider for updating my regular defenses, when I have the time, at least. So let's get to the first match. This match was a fun one to see early in the week, mostly for the opportunity to see this maxed out legendary Ike. It's pretty rare to see him at this level anymore, and it's always fun for me to see it. They're backing him up with a equally maxed out Brave Edelgard, and this plus 10 FE on the side as a bonus unit. Together, I think these three offer them a lot of ways to approach an enemy team, ideally by splitting up the major threats to take advantage of the weapon triangle. And the Makai on the side is a great way to break anything that they can't necessarily handle in the enemy phase. They get things going right away here and just dance like forward to bait the team out. But unfortunately, I don't think they were expecting Ike to take quite as much damage as he does from Florina. And thanks to Guard, Ike doesn't get a chance to use that Radiant Aether, which lets Florina knock him out on the second hit. And with Ike down, it's enough for them to surrender and move on. This match was another fun one to see, just for the chance to see some more really highly invested units. Its Corrin in her bonus week is just absolutely great, and I can't imagine she has too many problems tanking her way through a lot of enemy teams. We're backing her up with a lot of support, including a Hilda, who's also plus 10, a soon-to-be resplendent male Corrin, and an Elamine. Triandra is another really cool touch that you don't normally see on an offense team, and does a lot to support Corrin with a guard effect that she can apply to all of the major threats thanks to the dance. They take a turn here just to break the structures and start moving into position. And once they're ready, they swap Corrin over. Make sure they apply the ruse to most of the team, and say go. Sadly for Legendary Corrin, she is a colorless unit, which means that her ninja version on our defense team can just ignore all of her support and take her down without any issues. The rest of the team doesn't get in range here, but losing Corrin's enough for them to surrender the match and move on. These two matches played out pretty similarly thanks to the unsniped bolt tower they have that ended up hitting most of our team. And it's pretty easy to follow that through and hit and run from there. if things line up and you have the team to work with. It's one of the reasons I was very seriously trying to include Medius on the roster for my defense this week, but I couldn't quite fit him in, and actually be happy with the setup. And Medius himself is also pretty vulnerable to just getting Elemined, so I decided not to include him this time around. Yep. And from there it's easy enough for them to just carve through the rest of the team. It was fun to see another Summer Edelgard in the wild, especially with the Florina on their team, even if they don't really put the two together as much as I have been. And then they can just stay out of range of Yune, pick up the second Aether pot, and close things out. This one didn't bring along the Yuri or the Ninja Korin, but they did bring along a +10 Arden, who didn't end up seeing any action here. It was mostly about the bonus week Reinhardt and the Florina and the Letitia. The Bolt Tower, again, does most of the heavy lifting for them, and they just take a couple of turns waiting for it to go off. And once it does, they can just break the healing tower, pull all the way back out of range, and wait one more turn. I think they were being careful to pick off the Bolt Tower so that they wouldn't have too hard of a time clearing out the rest of the team after they start moving out of the corner. Which is fair. If they're not using units like Duo Korin for extractions, it can be a little trickier to clean out the entire team in one go. But it's pretty easy for them to just hit and run over time and pick them off as they come in. And once they're done with that, it's easy to pick up the Aether pots and close things out. This match was another fun one. They brought along a maxed out Ninja Korin to match the one on our defense, which is always fun to see. And they're backing that up with a Duo Kron and a Yuri. The +10 Sarah on the side here is also a very cool bonus unit, and really helps a lot for enabling Yuri's instant Blazing Wind. While the Peony just offers them Dances to help navigate the map. They decided to go in on the first turn here to take advantage of their safety fence, and while Yuri can swap Korin forwards and then Kanto back out, Korin can't quite do the same after she takes out Idune here. Gatekeeper Kanto controls her, and while they can reposition Peony over to dance Korin and then flip Peony back, they can't quite get out of range of Florina. This match was a neat one to see, featuring an absolutely maxed out Ascended Idune. It's great to see her at this level. I'm hoping to get mine up there eventually, and I do like the Dragon Wall build for her since it means she can survive just about anything that attacks into her as long as it's not using lethality or Deadeye. And with Elemine backing her up, there's not a lot that can actually crack through this Idune. Having Sita and Florina as player face options on the side are a great way to help pick off anything that Idune can't finish off herself. And overall, I don't think this team really has many problems with anything in Chaos Weeks. We do take a couple of turns getting into position, I'm not too sure why. The Shrine might have done some work, but it's not like it actually affects Idune since she neutralizes combat penalties. And sadly, even though Korin can ignore Elemine, damage reduction from Dragon Wall alone is still enough for Idune to survive this fight. And even though Corrin does survive the fight as well, we're using Yune instead of Dancer, so there's no follow-up that can actually threaten Idun from there. And with Garneth not able to really get anything done, it's easy enough for them to start picking things off from here. They actually just test this trap, but I think it's a pretty safe test. It's not like the odds of it being an actual bolt trap are too high when we've got a Hex and Heavy trap on our front lines. And then Idun can just keep everybody safe on the back line, even if they are accessible. So the entire team's just forced to attack into her again. Which doesn't really end well for any of them. Florina does end up surviving here, which is a neat thing to see. Even if it is her bonus week, it's still impressive to watch her survive that maxed out Idun. Even if she doesn't get to survive the outline afterwards. And then they can just keep stalling while Idun slowly works on Gatekeeper and Yune. From here they can just start moving forwards and actually reach these Aether pots before they finish the match. Sadly for Gatekeeper, not even a bonfire is letting him crack through that. Then they can let Sita have some of the fun. Before Idun moves in and whittles down Gatekeeper a bit more. And then they have Florina to go in and start finishing the job. It's a little unfortunate that we missed that knockout by 4 hit points. Almost got to punish them for charging that bonfire back up, but not quite. Overall, this was a fun week of Chaos defenses. It was mostly experimental, but it's still good to see Florina doing such a good job of enabling the team, and it does have me interested in potentially working her into my regular season defenses as well. As a reminder, the defense videos are going to be a bit shorter than usual for the next couple of months while I focus on streaming Xenoblade. If you'd like to hang out and chat or get updates on videos and schedules, or some sneak peeks at any of the matches that don't make it into the weekly videos, I have a link to my Discord channel in the description, and there's also a Patreon link there too if you'd like to help support the channel. As always, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.